fade into a moonlit valley in ancient Mesoamerica, where the night is thick with the scent of burning copal and the distant sound of drums echoing through the jungle. The sky is dark, heavy with clouds, as if hiding something it does not wish humans to see. In the shadows of towering temples, an owl cries, a long, hollow call that seems to come from beneath the earth rather than the air above it. For the Aztecs, this was never just the sound of a bird. It was a warning, a whisper from a world beyond life itself. The Aztecs believed the night was alive with spirits, and that the darkness was not empty, but full of watchers, wanderers, and messengers. Among them, none were more feared, or revered, than the owl. To the ancient Mexica people, the owl was not a creature of the forests. It was a traveler from the underworld, known as Mictlan, the Land of Death. Every flap of its wings was believed to carry the chill of the grave. Every cry was a message from the dead. And every shadow it cast was said to be a reminder that the world of the living and the world of the dead were separated by only a thin veil, a veil the owl could cross freely. To understand why the Aztecs feared the owl more than any other creature, you must imagine the world as they saw it. The Aztec universe was made of layers, 9 levels of the underworld below, 13 levels of the heavens above, and the human world caught trembling in the middle. Life was a temporary journey, but death was a destination filled with trials, shadows, and gods who demanded respect. And among these gods was one who watched silently from the boundaries of darkness, Mictlantecuhtli, the Lord of Death. His skeletal face and hollow eyes were said to terrify even warriors, and legends say he rarely spoke, but when he did, his messengers spoke for him. Those messengers, the Aztecs believed, were owls. There are old writings, codices painted on bark paper, brittle and faded with time, that show owls perched beside Mictlantecuhtli, their wings spread wide, their claws dipped in darkness. Priests said that when the owl cried at night, it meant the god of death had something to declare, a warning, a judgment, or sometimes, a summons. And so the people listened. Even the bravest warriors believed the owl knew things they did not, the fate of a family, the future of a village, the time of a person's final breath. If an owl perched on your rooftop, it was said that someone inside the home would soon be taken by Mictlan. If an owl circled above you as you walked alone at night, it meant you had attracted a shadow. And if an owl stared at you with unblinking eyes, it was believed that the dead were looking through it. But the most chilling part of the legend was not the owl's connection to death, it was the belief that owls were not born in the world of the living at all. The Aztecs said owls were created in Mictlan, not from feathers and flesh, but from the cold breath of the dead. They emerged from the darkness like smoke, finding their way to the earthly world to carry out whatever purpose the gods had given them. Some legends claim the first owl was sent by Mictlantecuhtli to warn humans that death walks with them every day, and that ignoring it would bring disaster. Others say the owl came as a punishment, a reminder that the underworld watches every action of the living. One of the oldest stories tells of a village on the shores of Lake Texcoco, where a strange owl began appearing every night. The villagers said it was unlike any bird they had ever seen, its feathers black as obsidian, its eyes glowing with a pale white fire. It perched on the same rooftop each night, watching silently. The family who lived inside believed they were cursed and begged the priests for protection. Offerings were made, incense burned, and prayers whispered, but the owl never left. And then, one morning, after weeks of quiet fear, the father of the household fell ill and died before nightfall. That evening, the owl vanished. To the villagers, the message was clear: the owl had come for his soul, and once it had taken him, its purpose was done. These stories spread across the Aztec Empire like smoke from a pyre. Mothers warned children never to follow an owl's cry. Warriors prayed for the night to pass quietly. And priests spoke of owls as the eyes of the underworld, creatures who saw both worlds with equal clarity. They were the only beings, other than gods, who could cross between the land of the living and Mictlan without dying. But here is where the legend becomes even more strange and more fascinating. While many feared the owl, others saw it as a guide. The Aztecs believed that the manner of your death determined your afterlife. Warriors who died in battle were carried to the sun. Women who died in childbirth followed a path of honor. But those who passed quietly, through illness or old age, were destined for the long, difficult journey through the 9 levels of Mictlan. And it was said that owls sometimes helped souls find their way, guiding them through darkness, protecting them from wandering spirits, and ensuring they did not become lost forever. To some families, the cry of an owl after a loved one's death was not a curse, but a sign that the soul was not alone. This dual nature, death bringer and soul guide, made the owl one of the most complex symbols in Aztec belief. It represented fear, fate, transition, and the infinite mystery of what comes after life. And because of this, owls were both shunned and respected. They were never hunted, never killed, and rarely even spoken of by name. To name something is to call it, and no one wished to call a messenger of Mictlan. The Aztecs also believed that owls could disguise themselves as humans, particularly sorcerers or witches. Some stories tell of Nawali, shape-shifting shamans, who could take the form of owls to travel unnoticed at night. These beings were feared even more, for they were believed to serve the gods directly, carrying out messages, warnings, and punishments in secret. When an owl flew overhead, villagers would cover their children's ears and whisper prayers to keep the spirit world at bay. But perhaps the most chilling part of this belief is the idea that owls did not simply visit the world of the living, they watched it. Silently. Constantly. They perched on temple stones, on rooftops, on the branches of night-blooming ceiba trees. They observed ceremonies dedicated to death, stood witness to battles, and lingered at the edges of funerals. To the Aztecs, this meant only one thing: the underworld was always paying attention. As the centuries passed and the Aztec Empire fell, these beliefs did not disappear. They blended with new religions, transformed into new legends, and survived in the whispers of modern folklore. In rural parts of Mexico, many still believe the owl, especially the tecolote, is a sign of something beyond human understanding. Some say it brings bad news. Others say it protects souls. But all agree on one thing: when an owl cries in the night, you should listen, because something is stirring in the shadows. Perhaps this is why the Aztec legend of owls coming from the land of death still fascinates us today. It is not just a story about fear, it is a story about transition, fate, and the thin boundary between the worlds we see and the worlds we cannot. The owl became a symbol of the unknown, the unseen, and the unspoken truths that linger in darkness. And in a world where death was not an end but a passage, the owl was the guide, the watcher, and the whisperer from beyond. Even now, in the ruins of ancient temples and the deep forests of Mexico, people say that if you hear the cry of an owl at midnight, it is not simply a bird calling. It is a voice from the past, an echo of a belief older than empires, older than stone, older than memory. A reminder that the underworld has not been forgotten, and that its messengers still roam the night. And maybe, the owl still watches from the shadows.